and welcome back to another episode of the Switched On Streams podcast with us. This week, we are going to be talking about that CM Punk return and the other returns that happened at Survivor Series. And in gaming stuff, we've got a couple of conversation starters we're going to touch on. And obviously our FIFA chat, or FC24 chat, that we're going to do every week. Let you know how we're going stream-wise and how the club's doing. So, straight in, joke of the day, ties into the CM Punk thing. Let's see if you've heard this one, bro. Why is Dwayne Johnson the only man to be able to turn lesbians?
No idea.
Because rock beats scissors.
Oh dear.
Yep. Now, into the wrestling news. Obviously, you were messaging me yesterday when all this was happening. I think I was about 2 minutes behind. I'd started from live about 3 minutes back from the pre-show starting, kickoff show started, and I never really just went to live.
I only jumped in time for the last match, actually.
So you missed out then.
I think I probably did, but I was just scrolling through on social media, and I saw some people saying like, "Where's Randy? Where's Randy?" And I thought, "Oh, yeah, of course, Survivor Series is on. I'll pop it on." And yeah, just jumped in for the last match, and it was about 10 minutes, and then then we saw.
Yeah. Just on that, what are your thoughts on WWE moving the pay-per-views from a Sunday to a Saturday? Are you in favour of that?
I mean, it works for us here in Australia.
Yeah, it works very well for us.
We get it in the middle of the day on a Sunday, which is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
So personally, I don't have a problem with it, but I don't know if people would feel the same way. In America, I think it's probably a good thing. If it's on at night time in America, you probably would rather it be on Saturday night than Sunday night.
Yeah.
I guess, especially like if you're going to go out to watch it or whatever. Say you go to your local sports bar to watch it, you probably don't want to be going out on a Sunday night.
Yeah,
So,
true.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it's a great move. So if you didn't see the team of Becky Lynch and Charlotte, Bianca Belair, and Shotzi won their match. Very entertaining match. Some very high profile moves coming off there. We had Becky Lynch hitting the manhandle slam through a table. Charlotte hit the moonsault off the top of the cage. Io Sky hit the trash can jump yet again from the top of the cage, which was a very, very entertaining match. And Bayley trying to save it left, right, and centre wherever she could was great. We moved into the next match, which was... What was the next match? Oh, Dragon Lee versus Santo Escobar. They are pushing Dragon Lee, and you can see why this guy is talented. They really think he's going to be the next Rey Mysterio, and those two, I wouldn't say they stole the show, but they put on one hell of a show. So I'm pretty happy with that match. Obviously, there was a bit of confusion. Carlito was supposed to be in that match. From what we're hearing, there may be an injury there. There may be the fact that they didn't want Carlito to lose again so soon, mixed with the fact that Santos has just made the switch to heel. They don't want him losing just yet, so they changed that up there.
Right.
Then we moved into Gunther and The Miz. These guys always put on a show. Always put on a show.
Yeah. He's really rising to the top, Gunther, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I read a stat the other day that he's been in WWE for like 1,600 and something days, and he's been champion in the company for like 1,300 and something. Mm-hmm. Like that's crazy. Like,
yeah,
they've got a lot of faith in him, and he's proving it time and time again. He's one of those heels that doesn't need to win dirty.
Mm-hmm.
He just puts on a hell of a match and comes up with the victories because he's just a big, imposing guy that can get the job done.
And I don't think any baby faces are really harmed by losing clean.
No, definitely not.
And that's just a great asset for WWE to have, especially in that kind of mid card, upper mid card.
Yeah. And he's also one of those heels that it doesn't matter if he's going up against a heel or a face character. Everyone wants to see him win. But at the same time, like if he goes up against the heel, they're going to cheer for Gunther. If he goes up against the face, like there's going to be that split. You know, some people are going to cheer for him, some people are going to, cheer for, in this case, The Miz.
Yeah.
And
it was the same when, Randy Orton was a heel or when The Rock was a heel.
I mean, those guys had just elevated themselves to that level at that point. It's unusual to see someone as new and fresh come into the main roster have that effect.
For sure.
I think the only other one that we've really seen that happen with was probably Bray Wyatt. Mm-hmm. Even very early on, like, he just captivated everybody, And I think Gunther has that same, maybe not the same sort of aura, but, that same level of captivation.
Yeah.
In his work rather than in his character, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Then obviously we had the women's world title match between Rhea Ripley and Zoe Stark, and to be honest, those girls tore the house down. That was one hell of a match.
I saw quite a bit of this match. Personally, I think Zoe Stark's ready.
100%.
That big of a title, and I thought maybe they could have had the title change hands here. If not now, then soon. Maybe at Royal Rumble. Maybe at WrestleMania.
I think they're gonna. I think this could be a long-term rivalry. Mm-hmm. Maybe Zoe Stark wins the Women's Rumble and beats her at Mania.
Yeah.
I think like they've played it very well over the last few weeks. I mean, obviously Rhea's got a lot of going on. She's got a lot of different storylines everywhere. So, a bit of a focus in a major storyline on that title will be good. Will be good for the women's roster on Raw.
I personally feel that Rhea Ripley does need to be a bit more focused, or they need her storyline writing to be a bit more focused in one direction.
Yeah.
Personally, I think you're right. Like a rivalry with Zoe Stark would work.
Yeah, and obviously after what happened in the men's match, there may be some changes coming within the Judgment Day, so who knows what's going to happen there. We'll have to watch over the next couple of weeks. So then obviously we had the men's match, which the Judgment Day had the upper hand in. There'd been, obviously a lot of rumours backstage, or, not rumours, but hints and pointing towards the fact that Randy wasn't going to turn up and all this. And as you sent me the message and said, wow, they played that well. And I'm like, okay, because you'd sent it about a minute and a half before it happened for me.
Right.
And I was like, okay, what's going to happen here? I'm like, don't tell me they're going to do the Punk thing here. And obviously when Randy's music was supposed to hit and nobody came out, and then Rhea came out with the Money in the Bank, I thought, oh, this is smart.
Yeah.
This is really smart. I still kind of assumed at the time I was 50... Well, I'd say I was 50-50. Randy wasn't going to come out and that they were just going to have Judgment Day win, Priest wins the title.
Yeah.
I thought that would be a big enough swerve. Nobody would have seen that coming.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously Orton's music hit. Orton comes out. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Can I just say one thing though? How good did Randy Orton look when he first came out?
Yeah, I think this might be his best physique ever. Which, you know, he's obviously been working hard the last few months. He's probably been physically fit.
Yeah.
Probably even able to compete for a few months to get in that sort of shape. That's
Well,
not
he's
the sort of shape that I imagine you get in a few weeks.
from what we've heard, he's been cleared for a couple of months now. So they've just sort of waited for that
he's just been
storyline.
getting himself ready. Yeah,
Yeah. So, and what about that RKO to JD Madonna off the top of the cage?
I thought it was reasonably well done. I thought at the time it was very impressive, but I've gone back to watch it a couple of times since, and they do show the camera angle of him being pushed off, where he's essentially jumping, right as it's happening, and you can really tell that he's not being pushed at all.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You can see him quite visibly jumping.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I think maybe there should have just been a little bit more of something to make it look like he was being pushed. And I also think Randy slightly mistimed it, but it was close.
Yeah. I mean, they had to make sure he was.
I think he was
lined
slightly
up and,
late on it, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought that added to it though. Like it was kind of much like the was it Justin Gabriel? No, who was the one that he hit? Evan Bourne. Evan Bourne. When he hit the one off the shooting star press, like that one he's coming off the ground, like it was a bit easier. He just sort of had to jump up and catch him.
Yeah.
Whereas this, he had to time it right and, you know, get down at the right level at the right time. I thought they executed it very, very well, and I thought JD Madonna's reaction and everything in the air, where like he spent a long time with his hands at his side, like just waiting to go, and almost didn't brace himself at all. Like he was just, I'm here, I'm in your hands.
Yeah,
and just like absolute workmanship in selling his side of the move. I thought it was unreal. Now the elephant in the room.
And just before you do, let's face it, with the RKO or any cutter, really, the person taking the move is the one doing like 95% of the work.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. There's very little that Randy does apart from just timing, when he goes.
Yeah, definitely. The elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
The CM Punk return. Now, this is the main reason we were going to talk about this on the podcast. We are predominantly a gaming podcast, but this new season we are doing more of what we want to do, like more of showing ourselves. And we are both fairly big wrestling fans, but we don't want to make this a wrestling podcast. But the whole internet is talking about this. All I've seen all day is the CM Punk return. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about it.
Right.
Really not sure. So, I sent you a video last night that showed Seth Rollins' reaction afterwards, which seemed to me led that it was not told to them. That I watched the press conference afterwards where Triple H had said him and Nick Khan were the only ones that knew about it, that it had only been worked out in, you know, the last few days coming up to Survivor Series. One thing that sold me on that video I sent you was the fact that it was Corey Graves and Michael Cole that were holding him back and calming him down. That to me made it seem very real.
Well, you know, I'm a little bit confused because they cut away quite early.
Yeah,
They cut away at a really odd moment, right when CM Punk was, I think he was shouting something,
yeah,
and right as he was finishing shouting, they cut away. And then when you sent me that video of Seth Rollins and his reaction, I thought, oh, maybe that's why they cut away
I think it
because
would have been time constraint, but yeah, carry on.
possibly it was a time constraint thing, but possibly also this was something that they hadn't planned. Was Seth's reaction. Now that doesn't mean that it's not a work.
Yeah,
Seth might have come up with that work on the spot, but who knows?
yeah.
Either way, if it is a work, it's very well done. If it's not a work, it's a bit of a problem for them.
Well,
But as Triple H said in the press conference afterwards, they've just got to work with it when it's something that the fans wanted so
yeah.
badly, and it's such a big name that can have such a big impact. They've got to make it work.
So I then read something this morning that Seth Rollins apparently, when they got back to the Gorilla, for those that don't know, Gorilla is that little section just behind the curtain where they, the producers sit and all that. Apparently Triple H then hurried Seth Rollins through there, and CM Punk was looking quite confused. I've then since heard what Dave Meltzer had to say on the radio show this morning.
Yeah.
That then said that this was in the works, or it was penned 10 days ago. Those in that match were made aware that it was happening. Seth Rollins was made aware it was happening before any of the others.
Yeah.
So to me, that video I sent you was a work.
I would lean towards it being a work, and I don't think that Triple H or Nick Khan would be stupid enough to send CM Punk out there without letting Seth Rollins know that he was coming out.
So and in terms of why they cut away when they did, what's the best way to drum up hype for Monday Night Raw for CM Punk returning on Seth Rollins' show than what happened after the cameras went off the air?
And I think it would have been obvious that it was a work if they hadn't cut away.
Yeah. Now,
if they had made something of it and the camera's panned round and it's like, oh, what's Seth Rollins' reaction? It would have been obvious that it was a work.
So, again, as you and me spoke over text yesterday, Seth Rollins is clearly ever being the professional and putting his personal feelings aside to work and do what he has to do for the company.
Presuming that it is a work.
Yes, presuming that it is a work. On the other hand, the reaction from Drew McIntyre, who was not happy about it and apparently stormed out of the building, is real.
Right.
Drew McIntyre is not happy about another big main event player coming into Monday Night Raw when, he's just come back from an injury, signed a new deal, and, kind of been promised that end of the card, and now it's someone else's coming in and putting their foot in the door.
Yeah.
So apparently he's not too happy about it. Apparently he's also not too happy about the fact that it's CM Punk. And, a lot of people backstage have an issue with Punk, but are willing to see how it goes. One thing that did sort of make me scratch my head was in that press conference, Triple H said, that was 10 years ago. People changed. If they hadn't changed in 10 years, that would be a problem. Blah, blah, blah. And I was sort of scratching my head and going, but he was causing problems in AEW 6 months ago. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I do. But
and don't get me wrong, as far as the Jungle Boy, what's his name, Jack something or other, as far as he's concerned, I thought CM Punk was in the right. As far as the Elite thing goes, he antagonised that situation. Like,
yeah,
he egged them on, and, you know, whereas a professional just would have gone, you know what, see, I'm not dealing with this, and just walked away. But he egged them on, and, you know, that's the type of guy he is. But
it's also a very different locker room environment in AEW.
yeah,
And it's difficult to compare. And maybe in this situation, with a lot more pressure on him, a lot more money on the line, presumably,
it is a
he
multi-year
might
deal.
act differently.
That is one thing that Dave Meltzer did say, was that it is a multi-year deal. So
And look, as a wrestler, he still seems to have it. I think.
yeah,
A lot of those former WWE guys over at AEW are, you know, let's say in the twilight of their career, and I think that CM Punk's still got plenty to offer the rest of the world.
I would say the majority that have gone from WWE over to AEW have probably got more in their locker than CM Punk has.
Really?
When you look at Castagnoli, Moxley, Miro.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily.
I know you were thinking
of
down the lines of the Hardys, Jericho,
yeah.
those kind of guys. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, Aleister Black still got plenty in the tank. Buddy Murphy, like there's plenty over there that have still got a lot in the tank. But
Sure. Yeah.
one of the funniest memes I saw today though was like some bloke going, "All right, time for the trade between AEW and WWE. We'll take CM Punk and you get Ric Flair." I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. All right, on to some of gaming stuff. Got a question for you. Obviously, we've been doing this streaming stuff for a little while now. Been doing the podcast for a little while now. And we do throw ideas around the group of what we should stream, but I thought we'll have this conversation on the podcast. Because we haven't had it for a while in person or on Discord or anything like that. So, is there anything new or coming up that maybe you would like us to stream as a group, or as just you and me sort of thing?
Oh, great question. Well, you know, a game that we played, or games that we played a lot of growing up, that it's getting a remaster early next year is Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Ooh. The first 3 games and that. Obviously, it's not a multiplayer game, but that might be a great one where we can do a kind of sit down together.
Yeah.
And stream it. I think that will be great. You know, that sort of thing. Maybe you pass the controller back and forth, or you know, you just help each other to solve the puzzles, because there are a lot of puzzles in those games. There are lots of ways to do it, and I think that could be an interesting one to stream.
Definitely.
That probably not a lot of people are going to be streaming. So
have we got a release date on that yet?
Yes, I don't remember it off the top of my head. I think it's February sometime. I think it's like mid to late February. I will double check on that.
Might be some school holidays in and around there where we can make a video and.
Releasing in February 14th. There you go.
There you go.
Pretty close.
Yeah, righto. We'll get onto that one, definitely. The reason I asked the question is that I saw a new game coming out in part of one of the series that we have both played, that we both quite enjoyed. based on a TV show that we quite enjoy, and that is the new South Park game called Snow Day. This is the first one in the series that is going into a 3D model rather than the classic South Park look. This is kind of following the evolution of the show a little bit. And it looks like it's going to have a 4-player multiplayer, which I think will be fantastic. I love the way that the South Park have done their games. You know, we had the Coon and Friends style, and we've had what was it the first one? Yeah, the first one was the Stick of Truth, wasn't it? Yeah, the first one was the Stick of Truth, which was based on their D&D, Lord of the Rings, PlayStation versus Xbox episode. So seems like we're going back into that world where we're doing the D&D style sort of stuff. I think it's going to be fantastic. I watched the trailer for it today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Picking our roles, whether we're going to be a tank, a healer, or a DPS, and just getting out there in the South Park world and causing some absolute mayhem. So I think that's definitely a streamable game for anyone over the age of 16. That is, because we don't want to subject those jokes onto children.
Look, they're always funny games, and they've quite often been fun games to play. South Park games go back quite a long time, don't they? Onto PlayStation.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, definitely. I think the first one was around 98, 99.
Yeah, something like that.
I remember getting it with the money I got for Christmas, because it came out around that time.
Yeah.
And it was like, even back then on the PS1, like the yellow snowballs, and you know, doing all the stuff from the show was only like 3 or 4, maybe 5 seasons old at the time.
Yeah.
And you know, there was episodes where you had to run away from the turkeys. At the end of the game, there was the whole anal probe thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, the classification boards don't let certain things like that happen nowadays, as we found out with the fractured butthole, with the whole scene that was cut there for us in Australia, where we got this nice little photo of a koala and the boys talking over the top of it.
I mean, there was still quite a lot of inappropriate stuff in
that
game.
100%.
But yes,
100%.
Yeah, they played that well, the censorship thing.
Yeah, they did. Like, rather than cut the whole part out of the game, let's leave in what happens, but you're just not going to be able to get to see it.
Yeah.
And apparently the classification board were happy with that. So, there you go. On to our FIFA chat, or FC24 chat. We made it back to Div 1 last week.
Yeah, one more step to go to Elite, which is probably going to take us more than one more session, I'd say.
Yeah, well, we didn't do too well in Div 1.
No, a
to
lot
start
of
the
points
night.
up to promotion matches to get up to Elite, but I think things are going okay. We've got a lot more players in our club this time around for this season, and it's still working, I think.
And Laura's come on leaps and bounds. Like she was really good the other night. Got a couple of assists to her name. If you go watch the video on our YouTube channel, it was one of the ones, that I put into a short that she flicked the ball round to me, and I went on a half the pitch run and just slotted it into the top corner. But look, we've all got different positions we can play now as well, which is handy. Still not quite sure how I feel about Tungy up front. And that's not me personally.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a claim, don't get me wrong. He scored a lot of goals in the 3 games that he played the other night.
Yeah.
But if you go back and actually watch those goals, 90% of them ended up being open goals.
Yeah, pretty much.
The-
In those games that he played, he was quite lucky that there were teams who moved their keeper and maybe weren't great at moving their keeper.
yeah.
But at the same time, he was controlling the ball quite well and
Oh yeah,
waiting for
100%.
the commit before he took the shot.
Yeah,
So there's two sides to that, I think.
yeah, definitely.
And for him, he's struggled to find a position that he's happy with. So
He moves around a lot.
Since Jack has come in and has taken the left wing spot because that's the only position that Jack's comfortable playing.
Yeah,
He's tried centre back, he's tried defensive midfield, he's now tried playing up front to try to find a position that he's comfortable in. I think deep down he wants my position. He wants to play an attacking
yeah,
midfield.
he's said that.
Yeah, but then that's a position that I've owned for a long time now, and I don't know where else I'll be best utilised if not there.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Like when we've got Laura playing with us, I can't play out on the wing
Yeah,
because if Laura and Jack are there, well, they're our wingers.
So
I can't defend for shit,
yeah.
so I have to play up front.
The only other option would be that if he were to play attacking midfield, that I play up front. But then where do you play?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I can tackle, so I suppose I could play the defensive midfield role. But I'd find myself pushing up forward quite a lot. Because even playing...
Taking a lot of shots from outside the box.
I mean, I do that anyway.
Yeah.
whether I'm playing on the wing or up front.
Yeah.
And still scoring from the wing as well, may I add. Still scoring.
Yeah, I mean, when you play out there, you cut inside and play that kind of, I guess, a Mo Salah kind of role.
Yeah. While still being able to... And it kind of mixes it up a bit because you'll see Jack and Tungy when they're out there, they'll get the ball out wide and they'll look to cross in every time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when I'm out on the other side, we don't have that. Like, I will cross it in, but then occasionally, if nobody's quite up with me yet, I'll cut inside and try and throw the defence off so they're not getting used to what we're doing, sort of thing. Doesn't always work. You and me had an argument over it the other night. We move on.
Part of that was on the stream, so
part of that was on the stream, and if anyone wants to see the rest of it, I've got the screenshots and the messages that I'll quite happily put into a video and put up. All I'll say is it was left with a thumbs up message.
Look, I don't want to have to post a refutation online, but if I have to write an essay about why I think you're wrong, I will.
My point was, in my head, and I didn't say this to you, and I probably should have. In my head, if you drew a line, like an offside line, through the player, everything that side is in front of you, and everything behind that side is technically behind you, your back's to goal. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
And it was because you were over wider, like in line with the edge of the 6-yard box, that I was like, well, the goal is behind you technically. Like your back is to goal. You have to turn more than 90 degrees to be facing goal. Therefore, it's behind you. That was my interpretation.
I also think in that side-on position, I don't have to turn that much in order to get a pass.
No, and
away.
I do agree with you there.
And also, I didn't have a defender that close to me where you did. So
yeah,
that was my thinking there. Also, you could have tried to play a pass that I could have maybe even faked and let run through.
Yeah, well,
my legs.
My thing was to try and play it to Tungy, and because I saw his run coming in late, and then by the time I'd actually gone, oh yeah, that's the pass, and tried to get wide and play it, the chance had gone.
In real time, everyone agreed with me.
Yeah.
So it's a
100%, and
it's definitely a 51, let's say.
Yeah, and I'm more than happy to to put it there. And, you know, that's why I aimed my I want an apology more at Jack. Because he
Right.
watched it in real time and he had the stream up and watched it again on the stream and still said that I was wrong. And then when I put the photos and the videos up, he was like, yeah, okay. Like, you know. But that is what it is. And we will leave it at that. I also put it down to a little bit of it being 3:30 in the morning and we're just both tired, and we tend to get like that at the end of the night at that sort of time with each other.
Yeah.
All right, onto our bracket. We have 38 of these games in our bracket already. And I think we're getting to 64. Is that right?
Yep.
Yep.
That's correct.
Yep, 64. So over halfway there. And this year is 2009, which I think leaves us 12 years left to go. 2001, I think we go to. Or 2021, sorry.
2021, yeah.
Yeah. So, with this year, our honourable mentions. A game that got a lot of stick from the reviewers. Much like the new Bluey game, actually. I saw I went and had a look today at that game. And IGN gave it a 2. Did they give it 2 or 4?
Wow.
No, it might have been 4. And
Even so.
it said that the game feels unfinished, the controls are shonky, there's only 2 hours of gameplay, blah, 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 blah. And I sat there and thought, okay, that's if you look at it as an adult. Now look at it as a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
None of those things are going to matter. If it's 2 hours long in gameplay, that's about 6 years worth of gameplay for a kid of that age. Like,
Yeah. Well, maybe not 6 years, but it's certainly
yeah,
more than 2 hours.
well, it'll feel like 6 years to a kid. But yeah, so much like the Bluey game, this game got very bad reviews, as you pointed out before, and that's Lord of the Rings Conquest. We also had Skate 2, Resident Evil 5, Modern Warfare 2. 2 games that we could have quite easily picked here, and I'm actually surprised that you haven't picked one of them. And that's Minecraft and Arkham Asylum from the Batman series. So, my pick for this year, which was a toss-up between Minecraft and this one, and it's a game I'm not very good at, but I really, really do enjoy this style of game, and that is League of Legends. Well, excuse me.
2009.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been to a couple of the championships games, and although I'm not very good at it, it's one of those games that sort of captivates you. You know, you don't mind sitting back and watching, and it has that bit of heightened drama. You know, the commentators get really into it, and they build on it.
Yeah.
And you know, I've watched it at a couple of arenas that they've held it in. I've watched it at the EB Games Conference. I've watched it at PAX. Like, they go nuts for it. And, you know, it really, really, really captivates me as a game, even though I'm horrible at it. Absolutely horrible. I went back and tried to play it about 6 months ago. And I went, holy crap, I don't know what I'm doing. It's been years since I've played League. And then I went and tried to play the Blizz version, Heart of the Storm, I think it's called. And I was like, doing against the CPU to get the feel for it again. Was like, yeah, I'm quite good at this. Went into one unranked match and everybody just shit on me. And I went, okay, I'm terrible at this. So, yeah. Cannot play those games. Terrible at them. But love them. Absolutely love them. I'll spend hours in there. Now, your pick.
Yeah, so I had a really hard time tossing up between this game and Arkham Asylum, because Arkham Asylum is probably my favourite game of that series, and This one I ended up picking because I realized that I actually got 2 platinums for this game because I got it on the original on PS3 and for the remaster on PS4.
Yeah.
And I thought about how much time I synced in to this game on both consoles and thought, okay, well, you know, it's probably had a bigger impact on me, and I would be more willing to go back and play it even again now.
Yep.
And that's Assassin's Creed 2,
Yep.
which is my personal favorite of all of the Assassin's Creed games, and I think also one of the highest rated games
Yep.
of by most gamers or fans of the series.
Yep. Now we went through and checked the Metacritic scores. I think all the way up to Black Flag. The other week when we were talking about it, and of course I'm doing the playthrough at the moment on stream with Assassin's Creed 2, which you can catch on Thursday. So I do that on a Thursday afternoon. Absolutely fantastic game. I love the Desmond storyline throughout the Assassin's Creed games, from 1 all the way through till Brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the last one?
Revelations.
Revelations. Yeah. Brotherhood's the second one in the trilogy. Yeah. So, yeah. Absolutely loved them. Great choice. We've already got the first Assassin's Creed game in there. There's a possibility we could end up with a few more by the end of this.
They're pretty deserving.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So, I mean, at some point I'm probably guaranteed to pick Valhalla and Black Flag, depending on what else comes out in those years.
It'd be interesting to see if we get 2 Assassin's Creed games up against each other in the knockout rounds.
Yeah, well, I've got the brackets set out. I don't have any of the names in there yet because I want to randomise who they go up against.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So I'm going to do it. We'll do a draw once we've got them all. We'll do it as an episode of the podcast. And we will spin the wheel, and the first name that comes out goes up against the next name that comes out. So, and we'll keep doing that over and over until the bracket's filled, and then it's over to you guys to vote. And you'll have a week to vote, and instead of doing us naming this each week, we're going to reveal the winner each week until we get to the end. So, make sure you go over to all our socials and follow there. And because I didn't say it at the beginning, make sure you like and subscribe. So, anyway, that's us done for this week. And we will see you all next week. Catch us
Catch you later.
Monday to Tuesday. See you guys.